All right, welcome in to those who are waiting. Just doing a quick little audio check here. Hello. Audio check, just checking the audio here. All right, good afternoon to my K through 12 people. Thank you so much for joining us. I could not be more thrilled to be here. My name is Chef Adam Klosterman. I'm the corporate chef with Apex Commercial Kitchen Company. We are equipment manufacturers reps in about 8 states in the Midwest. I'm coming to you live from our beautiful brand new showroom here in St. Louis Park called Curate. This is our brand new space that is open to anyone within the School Nutrition Association to come by to receive equipment demonstrations, have some creative outlet for you and your team to come try and experiment new things, whatever that might be. This place is here and open for you all to use as you please. I just want to first off thank you to Sharon and the MSNA team for having me here today. I say this every time that I speak or talk for School Nutrition Association events, and I know it might sound a little cheesy, but I truly mean it. A little secret, don't tell the other parts of the food service industry, but K through 12 schools are by far and away my favorite sector of the industry to work with. It's truly a passion. I can't thank you guys, you all enough, the actual operators enough for what you all do. Feeding hungry children is an amazing thing, and you guys should be proud of yourselves every day, especially in these interesting times. You guys are frontline workers, and we thank you for all your help and assistance in doing so. Today, we're talking about a really fun and interesting topic, the topic of cook chill. I know this might seem obvious, but there might be probably some pretty contrasting views of cook chill, or a knowledge of cook chill, a range, I guess would be a better word, of knowledge, in that you probably have some people who really know what cook chill is, have heard of it, and they're here to kind of hear my take on it or get some new interesting ideas. And then we probably have people on the other end of the spectrum who have never heard of this before. Maybe you've heard of it, but you just know nothing about it. And so hopefully today you guys all feel a little more comfortable and have some good takeaways to go back to your operations to figure out some unique ways that you can integrate some of these concepts to help you guys out on a daily basis. I mentioned it earlier, COVID, right, has changed everything, including every outlet of food service, and food service has probably been the most, one of the most, outside of healthcare, industries that have been impacted by the pandemic. And K through 12 schools are really no different. Obviously, this has thrown a wrench into all of your guys' plans, including daily changes that you guys have had to adapt and evolve to. But I think the biggest thing in terms of evolution to adapting to this has been labor, right? And what you guys have to work with. Maybe it's a shortage of labor. Maybe it's staff having to be out a couple days because of exposures and social distancing, and the way that you work in your environment is completely different now. Cook chill is a thing that we have seen K through 12 operators all throughout the Midwest turn to, some of the progressive ones especially, to help kind of combat some of those labor struggles and issues, to help the staff that they have, or the staff that's able to come in to work, create high quality food but with efficiency. What is cook chill? We're going to spend a lot of time diving down deep into it on a more molecular level, but really the name speaks for itself. It's where we utilize various pieces of equipment to prepare food in advance. We utilize some other technologies to chill that food down, and then we utilize the other technologies again to rethermalize that food product and bring it back to life. What does that give us the ability to do? It gives us the ability to be extremely efficient, especially if we're doing semi-scratch or from-scratch cooking. Now, cook chill can theoretically have a place in this environment even without doing any semi-scratch or from-scratch cooking. However, that's what it really gives you the ability to do. Integrate fresher and unique menu items, and doing it with efficiency, or like I said, with some labor struggles. The second thing that it gives you the ability to do is maintain that high quality level of food. So being efficient and maintaining high quality food products and diversified menu products as well. There's really 2 types of cook chill. We're only going to talk about one of them today, but there really is 2 real main types. The first one being a commissary, right? So some of you may or may not know the word commissary. That's basically a central kitchen. a lot of the larger, very large districts rely on commissaries or that commissary style cooking because what this gives them the ability to do is kind of centralize things. So they might use those commissaries to do some baking type programs. They might use it to do some of the prep work, so chopping some vegetables or making their pre-prepared salads and things like that. But they will also, actually, there are schools out there that do utilize cook chill at a commissary, and that's kind of like the larger aspect of it, where they might pre-prepare some soups and sauces and other examples that we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. But they'll pre-prepare those items and then ship them to their schools as their satellite locations, where at those schools they need minimum equipment, minimum help, where they can rethermalize from scratch food or semi-scratch food and have a really fresh and healthy offering. Today, however, we're talking about kind of a unique concept that hasn't fully been integrated into K through 12 schools yet. Many times, however, we're starting to see the trend, and that is actually doing cook and chill style execution within a site. So a high school, a middle school, whomever that might be, any type of school, actually doing cook chill procedures within the building in itself. So in order to execute this, right, I talked in kind of my hype or, the description of this class, and I mentioned that you could do this for a minimum investment. And that really is true, because schools have, fortunately, and a lot of directors have been progressive in terms of the investments that they've made in their equipment. So utilizing things like combi technologies, something that's sitting right behind me here, and I'll talk about how we can incorporate that. Braising pans and kettles and all these things, even if you just have a standard conventional oven, all these commercial pieces of equipment that you have to prepare the food in advance or prepare the food at all, so cook it for the very first time. Then in cook chill, what we're talking about is the idea of taking that food product, preparing it, either preparing it in advance or maybe in a more realistic fashion. Maybe we're going to prepare a little bit extra of something, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. We might prepare a little bit extra of something, blast chill it down, so we're going to talk about chilling, right? And then rethermalizing that food or repurposing that menu item in another dish a little bit later down the road. Now, the number one biggest aspect of this is obviously food safety. We're serving children. We have to make sure that if we're going to do this, that we do it in the safest way possible. And that's where chilling comes in. So earlier, I mentioned the commissary style kitchens. So a lot of times what they'll use is big commercialized versions of either a blast chiller, or maybe they'll utilize a tumble chiller, which is this big bath of water, and they'll take their bagged soup or sauce that they bagged up right there in their commissary and dunk it into this bath, and it tumbles around with really cold water and brings it through the danger zone quickly, right? That's really, at essence, what we're talking about here. So if we're doing this on site, we need a way to do this. And the way that we do this is by utilizing a piece of equipment called a blast chiller. So when I talk about a minimum investment, I mean, it's depending on what size you get, it's not minimal. I mean, we're not talking about a couple $100s here. It's a capital style investment, but you're not having to purchase the rest of the pieces because you already have a lot of them. So I want to first talk about the blast chiller and like the chilling aspect of the cook, and then we'll kind of work backwards. So we're talking about cook, chill, and then retherm, but we're going to really talk about chilling first. So we're going to go on a little field trip. In the back of Curate, we have a prep kitchen that has a blast chiller in it. So let's go in and we'll talk a little bit about the blast chiller. So as I mentioned, the chilling aspect of it is really where the food safety comes into concern. If we're going to cook something in advance, it's going to get up to temperature, right? Let's say 165 degrees. We then have to make sure that it cools down in an efficient enough amount of time. And that's where we utilize the blast chiller. There's other techniques that we can utilize, like that you've probably seen, stir sticks and different other things. And a majority of the time, people deviate to their walk-in cooler as their primary chilling method. And it does work. It can, depending on the volumes that you're trying to chill down. However, we really recommend that you utilize a blast chiller. And what's so cool about it is you probably already notice the small and the wide variety of sizes that blast chillers come in. So this is one of the smaller options that we have. This is like a 3 hotel pan unit that we have just because We're operating in a little bit smaller of a footprint here at Curate. But what a blast chiller does is it's basically it's an anti-oven, right? So it does the exact opposite of what a convection oven or a combi oven does. So it quickly pulls food product back down from that, let's say, 165 temperature, back through the temperature zone much more efficiently and much safer than a walk-in cooler or ice bath or anything like that would do. So let's talk about batch cooking some soup, right? So let's say that we want to make some tomato soup from scratch. Well, if you know that you're going to have that tomato soup on your menu again, maybe a couple days down the road or maybe even a couple weeks down the road, it would be advantageous for you to maybe cook a double batch. You're already getting the ingredients out, you're measuring things, you're cooking, you're spending the time and the labor hours to cook that food product. If you just did a little bit extra, it might take you 10% more time, but then when you go to make that product the next time, it's already prepared, so you're rethermalizing it. So if we take that from our kettle, let's say, and we put it into a pan, and we take it into our walk-in cooler, food code says that you technically have to get that food product through the danger zone, right? So from about 140-ish degrees, 130-ish degrees, all the way back down to 38-ish, 40 degrees. Depending on the product that you're cooking, it might vary your start and ending temp, but that's really where the danger happens. And you have 6 hours to do that. If you throw that big extra batch of soup into your walk-in cooler, a couple things happen. One, your walk-in cooler and the compressor that is mechanically keeping that piece of refrigerant cold is not rated to cool hot product from hot to cold. It's meant to keep cold products cold. So you put a lot of stress on that compressor, which can, if you're doing this frequently, it can severely cut down on the life expectancy of that compressor. So you could have issues with your walk-in cooler later. The other aspect is the food safety aspect. Are you even getting that soup or whatever that might be down through the danger zone in 6 hours? Sure, maybe you could, but you might be putting your walk-in cooler, maybe you're raising the ambient temperature and you're putting some of the other products that are in that walk-in cooler or reach-in refrigerator. Maybe you're putting those at risk by raising the temperature of the walk-in or the reach-in. So what the blast chiller does is it will, regardless of the size, it will take whatever batch that you throw in there, if it fits or fits within the chilling capacity of the unit, it's going to take that and it's going to chill it in about under 2 hours. And what that gives you the ability to do is it's going to ensure that you have quality products. So it's going to save and hold in all the quality, the moisture, and everything like that when you go to rethermalize it. Nobody's going to have a clue that it was prepared in advance. The other thing that it's going to do is you're going to do this safely. So you're going to do it without any food safety ramifications. And the other thing is it's actually going to extend the shelf life. So what a lot of people don't realize is that if you chill something down in the walk-in cooler and you do it within the 6-hour time frame, food code says that you technically only have about 24 hours to serve that food product. If you chill that food product down in your blast chiller, you have about 5 days to do it. But what is even better is that if you chill this product down and then freeze it, you have months of shelf life. So let's go back into the kitchen and we'll talk about some examples I've created, and we're going to do some actual cooking, some hands-on for me stuff. And we're going to talk about those examples and how utilizing cooking something in advance, chilling it down, and then bringing it back to life could benefit your operation. We're going to do a little camera work here. I got to get this camera repositioned, okay? So that you guys can actually check out what's going to go on when we start cooking. I meant to say at the beginning of this, I know that the team put in the chat that you can sign up for an account if you haven't done so already. And you can actually ask me questions in the chat. So I'm going to bounce over here to see if, nope, it does not look like we have any questions so far. That's okay. You can feel free to reach out to me directly. Sharon and the team can provide my information. I'll gladly answer any questions if you can't quite figure out how to get that rolling. So what are some examples of this? I think the number one example that I really want to talk about, or there's quite a few of them, and I want to talk about how you can utilize the blast chiller in access to just doing kind of cook chill style stuff. But the main one is, I've alluded to it already, but preparing food in advance. And by that I mean preparing items that you have already or already plan on cooking and just doing some extra. So some great examples of that are sauces, soups. Let me just get this fired up here. Sorry, I still don't have my Food Network talk and walk at the same time here. So soups, sauces, grains are a great example, and actually one of the first examples that I have going on here. So if the team wants to flip-flop to the action cam here, I'm going to show you. Example number one here is of some rice. So using cook in advance method of doing maybe just a couple extra pans of rice. So maybe the dish today, a nice northern Norwegian dish, maybe we're doing some Swedish meatballs. And we're going to use some white rice to do the Swedish meatballs as the base. So some white rice, some meatballs, a little bit of gravy or something on top. If we just took a couple extra pans of rice and we kind of thought about this and planned our menu, I'm getting the notification here. I just want to make sure that we are still live. It looks like we are still live. Okay, sorry about that. So if we can plan and kind of shift our menu, right, we could understand that maybe there's a way that if we just cooked 35% additional rice, maybe we can figure out how we could bend that into the menu a little bit later in the week. So grains, soups, sauces, right, like a from-scratch teriyaki sauce. That's going to be healthier and fresher and better quality. Maybe if you're going to make that one time, make 50 or 3 times as much and chill it down and freeze it and repurpose things. Soups are another great example. Proteins is going to be the next example. But for this first one, what I really want to focus in on is this rice. So I've already prepared this rice. Again, we cooked, in this fake example, we cooked about 30% extra of our rice. And we blast chilled it down, and later in the week, which is today, we're going to make some fried rice with it. So what I've done is I took my RoboCoupe unit and I ran a bunch of veggies through it. So I took some onions and some peppers and some garlic and some green onions and threw those in, and that's going to be the start of our base. So if we want to bounce over to the braising pan, I'm going to get this started. So what a great example of how we're working a multitude of different pieces of equipment into this discussion. So we used our combi oven or our steamer to cook our rice. We blast chilled that down, and that's already ready to go for us. So when you think about how easy and quick this has the ability to come together, it can come together extremely fast because our rice and everything is already prepared. So you can imagine day of, right, we would be scrambling around. We'd be scrambling around trying to cook our rice, chop our veggies, do all that. And then what ends up happening is we don't have the ability to do from scratch cooking. So then we bring in a already prepared fried rice that we just rethermalize in the oven, which there is nothing wrong with that. These are just unique ideas to try to get some alternative, methods and fresher ingredients in. So we cooked our rice, it's already in advance. Now we tie in another piece of equipment. We're tying in our growing braising pan here, and we're going to utilize our already prepared rice in just a nice, easy fried rice. So we're going to let those vegetables soften up a little bit while we talk about our next example. Proteins are a great example of ways that we can integrate cook chill into our application or operation here. So here's another great example of, I'm probably blocking the camera here. Look at this beautiful oven roasted chicken. So I know that some of you guys out there are getting a little braver, and you guys are bringing in some like raw chicken, or even if this is, pre-prepared, like smart chicken, that you are just doing like a nice oven roasted chicken that, heck, we could have paired that with our rice. So as we look at our day and the way that our menu is starting to come together, maybe we had this chicken with some rice and some vegetables, and now we're using this chicken in our next dish while the extra rice that we prepared. So again, cooking 30% extra chicken that we can use for our dish that we're going to prepare here. Preparing some extra rice that we're going to use to prepare here to cut down on the prep time. Okay? Because this gives us the ability, let's just say that we used raw chicken, which we did in this stage, to mess with something that's a little bit higher quality, like some raw chicken, prepare it, but now we can benefit from all that work and effort and energy that we put into preparing this chicken and capitalize on it a second day. So this roasted chicken that we served here, we're going to utilize in an enchilada. So what I've done is I've broken that chicken that's cold that we cooked in excess. I've broken that down, and we have some nice chicken pieces. I'm going to give this a stir and take a peek at my veggies back here. So to illustrate how we could bring this together, let's take a peek at my little quick enchilada recipe. So we have our shredded deboned chicken that we prepared a couple days ago that's going in. We're going to throw a little dollop of sour cream in there. Going to throw just a little bit of shredded cheese just to make that. And then our super secret Fiesta seasoning. That's going to go inside of there. We're going to blend that up a little bit just to get a nice creamy. Oh, I guess I have some salsa verde that I have prepared just to moisten that up a little bit while it cooks. Make that filling a little creamier. No questions. Quiet group today. Normally the chat is buzzing a little bit, but hopefully you guys aren't having problems getting in there. Nothing wrong with just listening, though. Maybe that means I'm just crushing it, right? All right, so inside of here is our tortillas that we're going to throw our filling in. These are for the crew, so obviously these might be a little more stuffed than we would do for the kids, right? But adults will be eating and enjoying this time around. So we're going to fold these up quick. So again, you can see how quick and easy this comes together when our chicken is already taken care of. I guess I'm just going to use this throwaway pan here so the crew can take these home. We're going to throw a little bit more of that salsa verde on top. And then, of course, we got to throw in the cheese. All right, and then, of course, the magic of television here. We already have some that are prepared. So we threw those into the combi oven for about 8 minutes. That was it. And now they're just holding hot, ready to go. Enchilada is a great thing that holds hot, I will point out. So if you're trying to batch cook and figure out, wow, look at how good those look. I mean, they just look incredible. And you saw how easy and quick that can fold together. I think I missed the camera there, my fault. Look at how beautiful those look and how easy and fresh and high quality that's going to be. And then this has kind of been an interesting topic unrelated to Cook Chill, but using the GET Eco container. So this is actually a reusable container that schools have been turning to do lunch or breakfast or whatever in the classroom, and then they send them back and wash up, and can really save a lot on your disposable costs. So what we're going to do, just to finish these bad boys up, we're going to toss these into our eco container as if we were serving them up. I'm going to throw a little dollop of sour cream on top. Some of our pico de gallo. And then a little green onion just to add some color. And look at this, guys. I mean, what a beautiful, fresh, healthy dish that was easy to prepare, utilizing the pre-cook or access cook of the chicken, and then chilling it down, and then folding that into another dish that has a completely different look, appearance, cuisine to it, and really fresh, healthy, and just fantastic. Let's take a little peek back at our vegetables here to see how those are progressing. I think they could probably just use a little bit more, so with our extra time here, we're going to talk about some other ways that the blast chiller can help. So what we've seen is obviously meals that are going home to students, right? So using this cook-chill method to prepare things in bulk, chill it down, package it up, and send meals home with the kids, which we've seen has been really beneficial during this pandemic. Utilizing this for leftovers. So if we have a couple pans of our enchiladas that are remaining after service in the holding cabinet, let's blast chill those down and then rethermalize those as a la carte item for the next day. But being able to blast chill those items down and then rethermalize again to extend that shelf life, extend the quality, and make sure that we're doing this idea safely. You want to talk about a really outside-the-box idea? I had a school who loved the way that their fried items, their French fries, tater tots, etc., came out of the combi oven. However, the problem was they only had one combi oven, but they had a blast chiller. This was in Des Moines, Iowa. So what they would do is they'd come in the morning at about 8 a.m. and just start firing batches of tater tots and French fries and that sort of thing. Fire that all up, blast chill it down, and then hold it in speed racks, kind of already prepared. And you would be really surprised, but you could rethermalize those batches of already crisped up and golden brown tater tots in like 5 minutes. So not only were they able to take from convection technology to combi technology their cook time down by 50%, but then by utilizing that rethermalization period of just 5 minutes, they were able to bring out fresh batches of 4 sheet trays full of their breaded or crispy items at a time, which is really unique. I'm going to add this rice in here, and then we'll talk about one other example. So here's our pre-prepared rice. This was already all cooked up and chilled, and we're just adding that in with our veggies. And then actually what I'm going to add to this is kind of interesting. I've been using it a lot at home recently. I have a little combination of some coconut aminos and some rice vinegar. Coconut aminos are kind of a soy sauce substitute, so I'm not totally sure on what the dietitians and nutritionists say about soy with children. If it's good or bad, I don't know, but I know that we're not supposed to eat it a whole bunch. I'm actually a vegetarian, so I try to tend to have a little more soy in my diet, so the coconut aminos is a really fun and interesting way to get that same flavor profile, that saltiness, without having the soy. Another great example or use of the chiller, which isn't really cook chill necessarily, I guess it kind of is, prepare and chill, would be utilizing it for our cold merchandise items. So I know that I've spoken to a lot of health inspectors who have said that schools sometimes, they've noticed, can get themselves into trouble with their cold merchandised items. And it's not just schools, it's retailers and hospitals and other things as well. And the reason for that is we have, if we can flip it back to the central cam here, the reason for that is you have, you're preparing 150 pre-prepared salads or pasta salads or corn salsa or whatever it might be, little packages of sour cream or whatever it is, sandwiches that you're going to pre-prepare and then stock into your cold merchandisers. We've noticed that we've had a ton of issues with people who the items as they're sitting out on their counter will get a little too hot or warm, and then when they go to put them in their merchandisers, same topic as the walk-in, right? Those cold merchandisers are supposed to keep cold things cold, not cool product down. So if you're putting some pre-assembled sandwiches or yogurts, parfaits, into a cold merchandiser, it will likely never have a really difficult time getting back through and into a safe zone. So utilizing the blast chiller to bulk prepare items, chill, to make sure that you're safely putting things out into your cold merchandisers is kind of a fun and interesting idea as well. Just checking on our rice here. You can see, again, the braising pan is a great piece of equipment to tie into this cook-chill methodology. So, because things just come together so quickly in here. So you could see how quick and easy, and again, I didn't want to cook a whole bunch because I don't want to waste a whole bunch of food, but you could see how much food we could prepare at one time, and this is just in a 15-gallon braising pan. They make them in all shapes and sizes too. So the braising pan is a great piece of technology to play into this, and so many schools have them already, and in all honesty, they underutilize the braising pan because they don't really know what to do or how to utilize it. So using fresh prepared foods is a great way of doing so. All right, do we have any questions here? Don't know about the rest of you, but I sure think this looks tasty. Sharon, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm going to blame Sharon if all of you are really hungry. She put this meeting at 3 o'clock, right? That's like prime time snack time. And then I got to make everybody hungry here through the camera, and nobody can eat anything. So Sharon, I am blaming that one on you. I'm going to ask the team here, I forgot to grab it. Can you hand me that black and white plate right there? Yep. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of this fried rice out so we can take a peek at it outside of the braising pan. All right. Take a look at how beautiful and fluffy and how quick. I think that's the most impressive part of this. Again, if you were preparing fried rice from scratch, we'll throw a little green onion on there again. If you were preparing fried rice from scratch as a dish, again, having that entire component come together where you're having to pre-prepare your rice. That can be a long time, especially if you're doing a lot of it, where you can kind of get a head start using cook chill, or maybe you're already all ready to go. So out of the walk-in, you're pulling your pre-prepared rice that's going in to make just a nice, fresh, easy side dish or main component of the dish. We talked a little bit about proteins, and just as kind of a final step, Sharon says, glad we didn't do smell vision. I know. Yeah, gosh, and I'm watching the monitor here. Mine's probably a little delayed, but I keep putting this into a blurred vision here, so I'm sorry about that. We're using a little bit different of a camera. So I'm going to hold this rice up at a little bit better angle here so you guys can see, hopefully, the colors on that a little bit better. Well, I know I'm probably a little bit short on time, but that's all the content I have for you guys here. I was hoping we might have a few questions. If you have any questions at all, we're just scratching the surface here. Just to kind of recap everything that we talked about. There's two methods of cook chill, right? There's using it at a commissary, which has a high initial capital investment and cost, where you can utilize kettles and braising pans and ovens and tumble chillers and blast chillers to pre-prepare and then send out to your satellite locations. However, a more achievable and more realistic goal, I think, especially for maybe a medium-sized or a smaller district, is doing some of those same elements within the school in itself. Utilizing the technology that you already have in conjunction with some kind of chiller, like a blast chiller or something along those lines, to pre-prepare items in bulk, or in excess quantity, blast chill down, and then fold into your menu to create efficiencies, to give you the ability to cook fresher and higher quality food products, to incorporate more semi-scratch or from-scratch cooking, all while doing it with a a struggle in your labor force, or whatever that might be, whether it's numbers or time or whatever it is within your specific operation, giving you the ability to do so. I'd love to chat on more with you about this if you'd like to go a little deeper and try to figure out how it works for your district. The team at Apex is here for you. Again, we want to thank the Minnesota School Nutrition Association for having us. I hope that this information was helpful. I hope you all learned at least one thing today. We appreciate your time. We know and understand how valuable that is, that you dedicated about 40 minutes of your time here. We really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time.